Hey, Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB Network. I'm your host, Ryan Dybert. Bit of breaking news here to talk about with you. I spoke 2 days ago, put a video out about the likelihood that USC would be hiring Nebraska Cornhuskers special teams coordinator Mike Ekeler. We went into all of his logistics. I'll put the link here below just so at least you can have more of the context there. But at that point 2 days ago, it looked like USC was pursuing. There was mutual interest, perhaps, and there was an absolute potential of that happening. So that was 2 days ago. Now here we are this evening. I was actually in the middle of recording my transfer portal video, and then the news breaks from Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports, and I'll put his tweet up here on the screen. He says, USC is likely hiring Nebraska special teams coordinator Mike Ekeler. Before Nebraska, he was the outside linebackers coach and special teams coordinator at Tennessee. And as we all know, or at least as I talked about 2 days ago, he had a stint as the linebackers coach with USC back in 2013 under Lane Kiffin. So, this is looking like it's basically done. Usually once someone like a Matt Zenitz comes out and says likely hiring, now I don't know if that means pen is not to paper yet, but the wheels are certainly in motion once that gets reported out. Remember, he was the one that came out, and we had talked about the smoke all the time, but he was the one that officially came out and said Penn State is likely, or maybe his verbiage was Penn State's main target for DC is Danton Lynn. And then obviously we know how that went down. So that's kind of a verbiage for these national insiders to say it's not officially under contract, but a deal is going to get done, barring something crazy. So it is looking like USC will have a true special teams coordinator with Mike Ekeler, and a really damn good one. One of the best, I would say, in the country. And as I said on Tuesday, when you hire a coach, gauge the emotions of where they came from. When USC hired Coach True from Kansas State, there was a massive amount of disappointment in not just the Kansas State fan base, but in the people who cover Kansas State, saying, man, what a loss for Kansas State. This guy was huge for the program, was monumental for getting this team to the Big 12 championship and the culture that they've built. USC got such a good one in Coach True. I know Eckler's only been at Nebraska 1 year, but that's already been the sentiment of like, oh, are you kidding me? Like there's some, obviously this is exaggerating, but some saying it's like a fireable offense for Matt Rule to allow Ekeler to leave Nebraska's grasp, if you will, a school that he dreamed to coach at and was only there a year if this all goes through, and will now ultimately end up back at USC. So I think this is a huge hire. Last year at Nebraska, the special teams blocked 3 field goals and 2 punts. They did not allow a blocked punt or any blocked field goals. They ranked 12th nationally in kick return defense and 13th in yards per kick return. And we're also improved in punt return. So the return game, certainly better. And, USC special teams, such a hot topic, right? I think they were categorically bad in some instances, and obviously the entire unit faltered down the stretch. I think they were a lot better in some categories. I think they improved in some areas. A lot of those improvements, though, got absolutely, pushed aside, and rightfully so, because of some of the monumental mistakes down the stretch in the season, specifically against Oregon, which was a historically bad special teams afternoon that, USC lost by double-digit points, but who's to say that game could have gone differently if not for those special teams woes? So this was a move that needed to happen, and now he will come in, if this all goes through, and, be tasked with finding a new return specialist. And Makai Lemon was that last year. He is gone. Will that be Zacharias Williams? Will that be one of the young kids? Will that be a Tinnock Hines or whatnot? So be tasked with that, and be tasked with actually creating a return game. I think what made Makai Lemon such a great return guy is there was no uneasiness that he was ever going to drop or fumble or muff a punt. Like, at least you knew hey, if the other team was punting, USC's offense was coming on the field. Like, at least you knew that. The previous year with Zachariah Branch, you got to a point where you held your breath every time because it was not a guarantee that he was actually going to not muff the punt. So at least with Mekhi, you got that. But you didn't get a lot of return capability. Not necessarily capability. I think he could do it, but you just didn't get a lot. You didn't flip fields. There wasn't that threat of like breaking a kick or a punt. So he'll be tasked with improving that. He'll be tasked with obviously some of the fundamentally sound things like not having guys jump over the pile, even if by rule the Ja'Day Abasiri jump in the Oregon game, when looked back at replay by rule, looks like he was actually legal there. Like, just not the right situation. Like, teach situational, fundamental special teams play that, hey, this is not worth the risk because this is a huge point differential swing if it gets called against us. So stuff like that. He'll be truly dedicated to that. It won't have, guys pulling. I know Ryan Doherty was kind of the special teams guy, but you'll have a true special teams architect for this team, which I think will be extremely beneficial. The other piece of this that we will see, nothing in this tweet or this report said this, I spoke about it on Tuesday, but could he be given some sort of linebacker tag, whether that's an assistant linebacker coach, an outside linebacker coach, or will he strictly be special teams coordinator? So that's the other kind of piece of this. If it's a linebacker tag, is that working with Rob Ryan? Does that change things? As I've said, I don't see there being an outside linebacker tag because you already have an edge coach in Coach Nua. You don't really have both. You have one or the other because essentially Crawford, Shelby, Fisher, categorize them how you want, either edge or outside backers, but you don't have both. So it would either be a linebacker, like he is the new linebacker coach and special teams, or an assistant linebacker coach with Rob Ryan. That I don't know. So that's something just to kind of keep an eye on. Obviously, anything we hear, I will let you know. But that's the latest news. Looking like Mike Eckler will be coming to town, and then that might be the first domino before now the next bigger domino with the defensive coordinator. But hey, special teams coordinator, people have been praying for this in the Lincoln Riley era, and USC now has gotten arguably one of the best ones in college football. So a fantastic get, and one that I think will be a difference maker for this team right off the bat. Let me know in the comments your guys' thoughts, but I wanted to get this up quick because this is big news for the Trojans as it pertains to success in special teams. Appreciate you, family. As always, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jade Mayav in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.